going to get side by side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's going to pounce on it. He's going to try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's Galindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Galindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go into the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes Jungbluth trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down into the braking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging, banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off, then it's going to try and pinch and pinch and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under, Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
With Detroit behind them, the drivers finally get to stretch their legs out here in Belgium. But Spa is not without perils of its own. And considering how tight the fight for the points lead has remained in both classes, every moment and every inch will count. We'll see who can tackle a classic as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Camel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. If you're not familiar with Spa, you're a rarity these days in road racing. Let's take a look at this popular venue. Welcome to Spa-Franchorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchement have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Radillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kamel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. Well, Adam, I said a popular venue. Clearly it is today with 2 splits, so we've got a race on our hands.
Absolutely, Joe. One of the longest laps of the year. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is one of the most fascinating races on the calendar for Kamel. At 4.35 miles or 7 kilometers and 19 turns, this track features around twice the distance of an average track for Kamel with only 5 more turns. That means, you guessed it, the Nissans will feel the most at home here, as the massive elevation gains combined with the long, fast, sweeping turns makes for a downforce car paradise, with the only struggles really being the bus stop chicane and the source. The Audis, on the other hand, have an entirely different race to deal with. With over 2 miles of straights, Spa becomes another draft palace, but this time with long, painful sweepers thrown into the mix to make you hate the infamous Audi understeer all the more. Everywhere but the straights, Rivage and La Fagny are the struggle for the Audi. But multi-class here is usually fine due to the exceedingly wide track surface, but a lack of patience from the Nissans through Eau Rouge and especially Radillon could cause a deadly wreck quite easily, as on this track, more than any other on the calendar, the Audis will not be able to get out of the Nissan's way. A fascinating race lies in store for us, Joe, especially in the Audis, where literally anyone can win if they stay glued to the draft pack long enough.
And we're kind of expecting that to be the case here today. Now, as for the point situation, if we start up with the prototypes, Antti Lepisto leads by only 7 points. It was closer than that in Detroit, but Antti taking a win over Timothy Reed has put him just that little bit farther away. It is a tie between Hugh Haycox and Heitor Sintes Galindo, but Hugh Haycox has been fast and has taken wins, just can't seem to change his luck around and tends to get into trouble this season. Tight between Olsen and Wells as well, with about 3 points between them and a single point between Trangrade and Humphrey for 8th and 9th position. Let's take a look at the GTOs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yuka Leskala leading again over Reed Miller. Javier Del Olmo losing that second spot due to some trouble he had last week. Reed Miller, his consistency really shining through, putting him in second position, with Ian Haycox down in 4th and Fabian Seischig in 5th position. Newcomer to the series this season and doing quite well up there in the top 5. Timothy Vaughn down in 6th, Doug Cloud in 7th, Mark Olay, Hideki Koivisto, and Jamie Hamill-Smith rounding out your top 10.
For today's race details, it's your traditional fare for a camel race, 40 minutes in length. It's open setup, so expect most drivers to try and get good top-end speed at a track like this. No spare car, however, so if you wind up with damage, you're going to be suffering making an unscheduled pit stop since there aren't normally any. Now, they also have drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, disqualification at 25. That's always a big talking point here at Spa because there's a lot of paved runoff. It's easy to rack those up, just kind of going that little bit too wide in places. So watch out for drivers having in mind their P's and Q's on that one. And so we've got most of our GTPs having put a lap in. Matthias Hovdal is on the top step with Fabian Jungbluth in second, interestingly. And Lepisto all the way down in third. Now, Leskala is currently on the provisional pole for the GTOs, and Lake is in second. But do we have enough time left for a second lap from those folks here?
Yes, I believe we're going to get a second lap from everyone who has set a time at this point. Interestingly, Phil Lake returning back to the GTO today. So Phil in a great position to challenge Yuko at what is famously a draft track for the Audis. Matthias Hovdal, though, in that really good position. Looks like Fabian Jungbluth had trouble on his second lap, so he is currently not trying again. So that second position might be in jeopardy for him.
Yeah, it looks like Hovdal was not able to improve on his 57.2. Lepisto was about 0.6 off the pole. That's a pretty big margin, but he's only 0.07 off of Jungbluth. Front row looks like it should be doable. Depends on what this second lap holds for him. Waiting for the GTOs to also come back around. Now, remember, as we watch some of our drivers here come through, the finish line is here. Start and finish line right there, down across at the classic pit, since this is that version of the track. And it looks like that was a better lap for, I missed who that was. Iamaki, actually. Oh, and actually, no, it did not count for him. So I was looking at the wrong person. Lepisto didn't improve. Farron Grau goes quicker at a 57.7. Things are getting very fascinating.
Yuko just had a problem coming out of the bus stop, so his lap's not going to count. Can Phil Lake pip Yuko this time around? Usually does better on the second lap with the tires. Crosses the line. Javier Del Olmo pips Phil Lake, but Phil Lake straight to the top, 16 1/1000ths of a second faster than Yuka Leskala. Because Leskala couldn't complete his second lap, that puts Phil Lake on pole.
Only waiting on Timothy Vaughn to set a time. No more. He just put one in and actually goes to fourth place. Great run by him. So now it's only Iamaki, Wells, and Fonseca that failed to set a time. Iamaki can't put one in. Fonseca just started his second, so he's not going to put one down, and that is it. Yeah, qualifying is over. Wow, big shakeup here for the grid today. And at the top of it all, Matthias Hovdal is going to be starting from the pole. Fabian Jungbluth able to get it into second place. Been a good season for him. Up in third in the points. Could he maybe get another win? He has only a couple to his name so far. Farron Grau will be on the inside of the second row next to Antti Lepisto. Lau Stolson starts from fifth with Timothy Reed P6 and Martin Krejcik in seventh. You've got Seamus Power on the outside of that row, Heitor Sintes Galindo inside of row 5, and Javier Mosquera rounding out your top 10. German Suarez will start in 11th. Amber Dallenbaugh will be P12, and then Miguel Rangel will be 13th. After that, last two to set times, Aaron Humphrey and Nick Bell. As we mentioned just a minute ago, Iamaki, Wells, and Fonseca will have to start from the back of the GTP grid.
And then we get to the GTOs. Phil Lake on pole position with Yuko Leskala starting out alongside him. Javier Del Olmo in third position with Timothy Vaughn in fourth. Reed Miller starting off in the fifth spot with Gregorio Buscemi in sixth. Andreas Schuster starting off in seventh position with Ian Haycox in eighth. Doug Cloud and Devin Donahue round out your top 10 for the GTOs. And then Yuri Geisen, Jay Jacobellis, and Daniel Repetto, the last of the drivers in the GTOs. Everyone set a time in qualifying, so that's actually pretty great for them. 13 Audi drivers, and that's going to be 31 drivers in our top split today.
Slightly larger GTP field. Bad news for the GTO drivers for sure, but not quite as bad as what we saw back at Detroit, that's for sure. As you can see them lining up and ready to go. Short pace lap, thankfully, here for the drivers, so they don't have to wait for the pace car to take them all the way around the incredible length of Spa here, more than 4 miles to try and circulate. So we've got pretty good conditions out on the track at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. A little bit cool, but not too bad. We'll see how they handle trying to get those warmed up. A little bit of wind. I'm not sure if that's going to affect them too much. Maybe the Nissans a bit here, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 miles an hour shouldn't affect them too much. It's definitely going to affect the draft, though, coming from the south. So, Yeah, it's going to be a tailwind, I believe, up the long straight, so that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. So it looks like we have a couple onboard cams here today to show. Phil Lake going to be in and back once again with the Cylon cam. I always love that thing. Very impressive looking. Ian Haycox is also here, showing us his unique rig. And we've also got Laust Olsen back as he usually is with the pucker cam, and already looking pretty puckered up today. So maybe he feels a little bit nervous after what we saw at the Nürburgring earlier in the Lotus 49s. So you can see pace car up at the front, but we'll peel off after La Source because Classic Pit start will be going down the hill to Eau Rouge for the first corner here. And Hovdal is hopefully going to be able to lead the way from the pole position, just slightly ahead of Fabian Jungbluth. There goes the pace car. Immediately off, Hovdal does not wait at all. The number 3 is off like a shot, but behind him, Fabian Jungbluth now suddenly finds Farron Grau managing to get into second place. But will he have to hand that back as they come along the Kemmel Straight because of the slipstream? Let's go to the GTOs.
Hugo Lustig got a phenomenal launcher on the outside of the hairpin there, and so that allowed Phil Lake. Oh, Phil sliding sideways, and he manages to save it. Does he? No! He wrecks out, and he's going to collect a couple other cars behind him.
Oh, he gets flipped on his lid. It's a horrible end. Looks like Timothy Vaughn was caught up in it as well. Up at the front, Farron Grau has gone to the lead in the meantime. Huge drama in both classes on the very first lap.
Farron Grau trying to lead this thing over Matthias Hovdal. Matthias Hovdal trying to chase it down behind him with Fabian Jungbluth tucked in behind them. The top 3 starting to break away a little bit from Antti Lepisto. Antti started trying to claw back that, but look at that Jungbluth putting a lot of pressure on Hovdal as they went through.
Yeah, usually Farron Grau working with his teammate Aitor Sintes Galindo, but Aitor's not really in the hunt for the championship this time, and he's nowhere near. So can Farron finally get some glory for himself here today? Can he stay away from fast guys like Hovdal and Lepisto?
Always been a challenge for everyone who does not run the lower downforce settings. We know that Hovdal runs as much wing out of it as he can, and look at the overspeed he's got on Grau. He's already looking to the outside even before they hit the left turns.
Yep, coming up to Blanchimont. Let's see if he has an attack into the bus stop chicane. Farron's going to cover it off, just holding the middle of the track to dissuade any moves, and it will for now. And the first lap isn't over yet. They still need to get around La Source. And will we see Grau lead the way? Seamus Power looks like he had an issue coming into the bus stop chicane himself, but he's going to get back onto the circuit, so doesn't appear to be any major damage for him. And indeed, Farron from 3rd to 1st on the first lap.
Yeah, bad news for the GTOs. Looks like a couple of nice battles going on in the back of the GTO field as they come up to the hairpin. Oh, we've had a wreck. That's Ian Haycox and it's Gregorio Buscemi and Reed Miller who got together. Buscemi off in the middle of the bus stop chicane, tries to get going, but that was definitely contact between the two of them. But now we've got the entire GTO field spread out here, and that is a lot of suspension damage there for Gregorio. He's not going to be able to make it around, I don't think.
Yeah, he's going to have to come into pit lane. In fact, let me check. Yeah, he's got a meatball flag. He's got to serve that, and there's no reason why he'd want to try and carry on here. Meanwhile, Hovdal still chasing, but hot on the heels of Grau for the lead in the GTPs. Jungbluth just giving watch. Lepisto's not been able to overtake for 3rd, which surprises me a little.
Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely, Hovdal just trying to cling to the back of Grau. He's going to have to try and make the pass, though, because we know that he's quicker in a straight line. So he has to get through Grau quickly in order to try and gap Jungbluth a little bit more.
As they come through Fanyes now. This is... Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. There's a battle for 6th position, the GTOs, that is extremely tight for these drivers. This is between, actually, this is for 3rd position between Doug Cloud, Yuri Giesen, Reed Miller, Ian Haycox, Andreas Schuster, JJ Cabellas. It's pretty much most of the field, and they've actually separated. Hugo Lustig is out to a 2-second lead over Javier Del Olmo because of the incident with Phil Lake. Doug Cloud's another 5 seconds back. I mean, this GTO field has spread out a lot, and it's really Yuri Giesen, as we're seeing right now, all the way back down to JJ Cabellas and David Donaghy in 9th position. That's this battle. That's really what's left of the draft pack.
Credit to Doug Cloud there at the bottom of the screen as whoop. There's a dive from Miller trying to get to the inside. And Jury says, no way, not yet. I'm holding on to this position. Reed still clinging on by his fingernails around the outside of the second apex. Now he lifts early and gives up the ghost.
Yeah, these guys are going to be glued together like this for a while, I believe. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Wow, look at that. Timothy Reed with the fastest lap from 5th position in the GTP class. But these GTOs really tightly smacked together right now, and they're going to stay that way for most of the race, while our leaders will probably continue to separate from each other.
Yeah, they're all going to be stuck in this draft train unless we get more drama in and amongst them. Looks like Haycox is going to try to go around the outside, makes a little contact, trying to catch the car. They're going to hit each other once again. That was Reed Miller, and a little hit to the behind. No! Unfortunately, more problems as he turns Jacobellis, and he has to try and whip that car back around to get going. Nope, he's going to do a K-turn with nobody coming. He's got the space. Boy, that got complicated quickly. Andreas Schuster, in the meantime, is going to be able to overtake Reed Miller. Multiple hits to the car. I got to think he's got to come away with some damage from that.
There's so much damage on Reed Miller's machine. That front left is extremely damaged. Andreas Schuster is carrying some damage too, so these guys are not undamaged at all that they're battling with. Yuri has now run away to the tune of 3 seconds ahead of everybody, but looks like, man, it's just intense racing all over this track right now. But Reed Miller with a little bit of draft on Andreas going to try and go around the outside here.
Yeah, it's been fierce in the mid-pack. Everybody trying for it as Miller's going to get by. And it looks like Haycox gets overtaken by Donaghy as well. A little bit of a fight back from Schuster on Reed Miller, maybe? Nope, doesn't quite have enough on it. In the meantime, it's stayed close for the lead in the GTPs. Hovdal just hanging out behind Grau. I wonder if he is not trying to make this pass quite yet. Well, no, there's a little bit of bob and a weave. So that signals that maybe he's not just sitting patiently behind.
Yeah, he took a look. I think Hovdal does want to get by, but he also doesn't want to bring Jungbluth with him because Grau would be a good buffer for the two of them. So Hovdal putting some power down. He's definitely delaying his move up until we get to the long straight here. He's got a good run on Grau, looking to stand behind. Grau's going to stay over to the right side. Hovdal takes a peek, but it might be too late at this point.
I think Hovdal might have a little bit, more wing in it. That is way too deep. Car goes off course, back on. He's given space, thankfully, by Farron Grau. Jungbluth says, thank you, I'll take second place. Hovdal tries to hold on to third, and with a little bit of door banging with Lepisto, he does. Lepisto now under attack. But Timothy Reed trying to go around the outside, and Jungbluth is going for the lead on Grau. This is unbelievable racing, and Lepisto manages to rebuff Reed. That was some exciting moments.
Now, I understand why the racing's so intense in the GTOs. They had that wreck early on, and what was supposed to be a relaxing race that just lasts until the last 5 minutes, and they start making passes, has now become desperation for the GTOs. The GTPs, I understand why they're making moves too, because in a GTP, the draft is a lot less effective. And so if a driver can get the lead and start to run away, there's really no way to catch them unless you've got raw pace. So these drivers definitely want to try and make things work as we ride on board right now with Timothy Reed back of his path.
Ooh, had a problem with Germain Suarez hitting side by side with Ardo Yamaki on his climb back forward. Suarez now trying to get back on the track. Looks like the car is at least rolling, but the 28 is at the back of the field. Meanwhile, we come back to the leaders, and it starts all over again, a little deep once more from Matthias Hovdal. Lepisto keeps trying to see if he can get through. Look at them squirming on the throttle as they try to get the power down.
Yeah, absolutely. Farron Grau and Jungbluth starting to gap a little bit. They've got about a half second over Hovdal at this point as they, oh my goodness, Timothy Reed very deep on the brakes. There almost gets to the back of Lepisto. He's going to lose some ground, but the battle for the lead definitely has opened up. Jungbluth trying to take a wider line through. Farron Grau trying to break the draft. Let's see whether or not Jungbluth can make a move here, because he's definitely got the gap to not bring Hovdal with him.
Does seem like Grau is pretty quick in a straight line, considering Matthias could not get past him despite being tucked right underneath him. And yeah, Jungbluth is following but unable to get there. Lepisto, though, gets by on Hovdal, and that puts him into third position. Okay, if we can just have a moment where things calm down. I wonder, there's a little look to the inside, but nothing doing there from Jungbluth. A moment to look at some of the replays from the start of the race here. I know we have Phil Lakes incident, and we need to get a better look at what happened there. Did he have some contact, or just what happened?
No, he just got loose coming over the top of Radeon and then just could not save the car. This sends him back and pinwheeling. He ends up actually going off the circuit. So for the safety of the spectators, iRacing has removed that car from the circuit. And I believe that was Timothy Vaughn who he hits here. So Timothy Vaughn in the 13 machine. And yeah, there's Vaughn absolutely cartwheeling. That was the deadly wreck I was talking about.
Yeah, and that's Gregorio, who had an incident later that he actually barely escaped from. I wasn't sure if we had the replay on that. Looks like he's just going to get overtaken here down into Lacombe. Yeah, here we go. Oh, here's, well, this isn't the incident with Gregorio, but definitely with Ian Haycox and Reed making contact, and unfortunately Jacob Ellis finding himself kind of the innocent victim on that one. Oh, and Jungblut just lost a bunch of spots. What happened?
Yeah, Jungblut ended up outbraking himself. He clipped the curb just a little bit. Yeah, here's the replay. This was just
now.
Yeah, absolutely. This happened just a moment ago. This was Hovdal and Jungbluth, and Jungbluth just didn't realize that Hovdal was going to slow down that much. Ends up making front left contact with that outside wall. That's going to reduce his straight line speed up the long straights, so that's going to put him under very dangerous circumstances. And Laust Olsen trying to make the move on him right now. Look how much slower Jungbluth is. Going from battling for the lead down to losing 6th.
Yeah, and Laust Olsen will get into that P6. Also, Timothy Reed overtook Hovdal for 3rd. Whoa, and Hovdal has a moment. Hovdal's off. He catches it before the wall with about inches to spare, and he's going to be able to drive it back onto the track. It's been an exciting race for the 3 car, not the way I think he wanted it to be.
No, but he's got speed, and he's got a lot of time to make progress. He's still got 30 minutes left. So my goodness, very, very exciting race for all these drivers today. Usually the beginning of Spa is a little sleepy in the Camel Series. Not today.
Well, and this has implications. The reason I brought up Reed earlier is because it's a battle between himself and Lepisto, and Lepisto is hot on the heels of Grau to see if he can be the one to take that top spot away. Nobody's been able to do it on the 29 quite yet, but does somebody maybe have something for the Club Iberia driver?
I gotta say, I'm really impressed with Farron Grau's resilience. He's absolutely stuck it out over the course of this race, and he's had 3 different challengers at this point. So now he's going to have a 4th in Lepisto, and then Timothy Reed will be back to try and battle. But all these GTP leaders are now catching up to the battle for the 5th position in the GTOs, and they're going to have to pass them at the fastest parts of the circuit.
Yep, so that's going to be tricky in it of itself. Also, I said it earlier, we haven't really seen Farron unleash what he's got, because usually he's playing second fiddle, and happy to, on Aitor Sintez Galindo. Sintez Galindo's up to 4th now, but he's still about 3 seconds away from Farron. So even if he did catch him, I wonder if at this point Aitor's like, you've earned this win, man, stay up there.
Well, I mean, there's not much more that he can do. Fabian Jungbluth comes into the pits, but all attention on Farron Grau and Antti Lepisto and Timothy Reed as they're trying to navigate the GTO traffic as they come up to some of the faster parts of the circuit. This is where things get interesting, because navigating the patience around here, the patience game is going to be really challenging. Lepisto goes to the inside of Devin Donahue trying to make the pass, but Farron Grau got held up behind Andre Schuster. Now that brings Lepisto right into attacking range of Grau. Schuster's going to be stuck on the outside as Farron Grau's going to have to figure out his way past Reed Miller. This is a point where the Audi is a little faster through these corners than the GTP to start with, but then look at that move there from Grau. He sneaks on by.
Gave just inches to spare, really had to make sure that Reed Miller tracked out on that one, but it all worked out. Are they all going to be able to sneak through here? No, not quite. Oh, barely. That was Yuri in the 21, having to allow Reed and Lepisto just enough, about a car's width through on the inside, and there spins Aitor Sintez Galindo into Fanyes. He loses control, catches it before it hits the wall, only loses 1 spot to Laust Olsen, who's now up to 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that in the background of our shot. So great save from Aitor to actually not lose the car. But Laust Olsen, this is exactly what he talked about wanting to do over the course of this entire season, is just try and be consistent, try and pick up spots as he can. And he's doing that. But Aitor Sintez Galindo under heavy pressure from Martin Krajcik behind these guys.
Right on board with Laust Olsen now as he looks behind, being chased by Sintez Galindo. Oh, and some smoke back there. What happened?
Heavy lockup actually from Laust on the right front. So that's what caused that issue. But we should jump back to battle for the P7 in the GTOs between Ian Haycox and Devin Donaghy, because they're actually holding up Jake Wells and Nick Bell in the GTPs who are battling for 12th. Look at the chaos on the front stretch. Well, not the front stretch.
Yeah, Donaghy, the GP front stretch, Donaghy got overtaken by Haycox in that as Nick Bell and Jack Wells sees Jack Wells get that 11th spot between the pair of them. Now we hop on board with Ian Haycox as he tries to keep ahead, but he's going to give a nice slipstream to Devin Donaghy up and off at the top of right in. Ooh, we cut a lot of that left-hand side, though.
Yeah, good move there to just hang on to the car, to be honest with you, from Ian. Look how calm he is, being very, very calm and collected with that machine at the moment. I can report that Antti Lepisto made a pass. Well, actually, Timothy Reed and Antti Lepisto were side by side. Timothy Reed is still behind Lepisto. Grau continues to lead up at the front.
And looks like he's going to be able to rebuff Donaghy once again, who attacked him into Lacombe. We couldn't quite see it on screen. Nick Bell's off. The 26 looks like he lost it in Rivage, and the car is at least pointing the right way. He'll struggle his way back onto the track.
Sorry, we just had a wreck between Javier Mosquera and Amber Downbow. Amber's now recovering. This was through
Puan, yeah.
Yeah, this was through Puan, and Amber was trying to go around the outside of Mosquera. That's a sketchy move, but look at this right now. Still a lot of interclass battles going on. The 25 trying to recover Amber Downbow and under heavy pressure from Seamus Power.
A lot braver into the corner. Seamus not willing to try and go around the outside of Doug Cloud. I'm sure Doug's appreciative of that. By the way, Doug Cloud rated 30th in the fields by his iRating. He's currently sitting 3rd.
Yeah, and also in a really good points paying position as well. Javier Del Olmo in a good spot to make up a little bit of ground on Reed Miller, but everyone's losing ground to Yuko Leskala still. And I mean, we don't have that many rounds to go, Joe. I think Yuko's going to have a good shot at this championship again unless more ill starts to befall him. So, but the 30 of Doug Cloud in 3rd position, doing a good job just trying to be consistent around there. A lot of the Audi battles have broken up right now, but the battle for the lead in the GTP has not. Lepisto has a good run on Grau as they head toward up the final chicane.
And he's trying to defend a little bit, comes back to the racing line, feels safe enough for the time being. So he is sitting good. This will be the first podium of the season, I think, for Doug Cloud in the GTOs, if he can stay where he is. I want to say he's had one in the GTPs recently. I'll have to double check the stats on that to see if he's managed to pull that off. Look at how tight this is for the top 3 here.
Oh,
no, excuse me. Yeah, this is Laust Olsen, Sintez Galindo, and Hovdal right now. Hovdal around the outside on a recovery drive, using up a little bit of the track and then some. And the paved runoff saved his bacon there. That gets him 5th place.
Yeah, thank goodness the FIA isn't looking at that, because they would say that I was leaving a track to gain the advantage. But fortunately, that's not how the iRacing stewards see it either. So Hovdal able to retain that position and go try and challenge Laust.
Absolutely. As for that GTO fight, you mentioned the championship. Reed Miller's the one that's chasing Yuko, and right now Reed's in 5th.
Oh, sorry, Lepisto's got to run on Grau. Looks like he might try to go around the outside here. Oh, it's going to be tight.
Lepisto wants another win, and
oh no!
They come together. They're absolutely coming together, and one is in the barrier. The other just manages to stay off. Lepisto doesn't hit anything other than fair and Grau, but there goes a potential win for the 29, and I think that may have been his first if he would have brought that home. Timothy Reed now is able to catch up to Antti Lepisto because Antti's down to 7th. That is going to be a point swing wide enough, if it stays put, that Timothy will be leading.
I don't understand why just try and stick out that move when you're off the track. Let's take a look at this again. This was extremely dangerous. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man.
Not enough space given by Farron and too much space.
He didn't need to give space to. He didn't need to give space to Lepisto.
Well, that's why I was saying, and too much space asked by Antti Lepisto as well. It's yeah. This is the definition of hubris right here.
Yeah, I mean, Lepisto did not have any overlap going through that corner, takes it off the track, and then rejoins into the rear wing of Farron Grau. I mean, that's just heartbreaking, unfortunately, for Farron. Matthias Hovdahl just made a pass on Laus Olsen for second position, but Timothy Reed, 7 seconds up the road from these guys.
Olsen now onto the podium. Hovdahl back onto the podium as well. He's now into second. Can he chase down Timothy Reed? Hovdahl's not in the hunt for the championship, though. He's here just for the win. We'll see what kind of pace he's got after his adventures out on the track. There have been more dramas than you could shake a stick at today in both classes. This has been just unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Camel Discord tends to be fairly fiery after a race because tends to be a lot of multi-class incidents. It's going to be same class incidents that they're talking about after this one.
So as we work our way up to Blanchimont once again, with Hovdahl chasing Timothy Reed now for the lead. Worth mentioning that Leskala continues to lead the way. Oh, did we just have a pass for third?
Yeah.
Sintes Galindo, yeah, over Olsen.
Absolutely. I think Olsen's got too much wing in that machine, unfortunately. He just doesn't have the straight line speed, and I don't see any damage on that car either, so I think he's just got a little bit too much downforce in it to be fast enough to hold positions on the straights. Because he'll be tucked in behind Atro Sintes Galindo to the effect that he should get dragged, but I think Galindo's still going to run away from him.
Speaking of which, and having too much wing, that damage on Lepisto's car is enough that he is dragging in a straight line, and he is going to pay the price for that contact for another 20 minutes of this race. Look at it, just absolute dog slow.
Yeah, unfortunately, the consequences of his own actions coming back to bite him here, and yeah, I mean, that's just going to be a hard pill to swallow for the next 20 minutes.
So he'll probably continue to drop. I wonder if it's going to force him just to come in and take repairs, or if he's going to struggle through to try and reach the checkered flag, because that's a lot of racing to do with a car that's slow in a straight line at a track like this. As we can see him dropping.
It's not fun to drive at that point. If you're just going to keep losing positions, might as well get some repairs and see whether or not you can enjoy yourself a little more.
Indeed. Well, this has split up some of our battles in the GTPs and the GTOs, but you can see that Laus Olsen and Sintes Galindo are still bringing us the action for third down in the prototypes. So this is about half a second apart, and for the final step on the podium, Kratrix actually catching up behind him. He's about second and a half, so he can't mess around too much here.
No, Sintes Galindo is trying to focus forward, and so is Hovdahl, but still 6 seconds separates Reed and Hovdahl at this point. So, I mean, Hovdahl does carry the fastest lap with him, and he was a good half second faster than Reed last lap. But look at this, a nice battle between this is between Ian Haycox and Andreas Schuster.
Yeah, side by side through Lacombe, and Ian Haycox held on to 6th place, up 2 positions. Yuri Geisen in the 21, by the way, hardest charger in those GTOs, up 7 positions right now. So kudos to him.
I just realized that Andreas Schuster is running the default GTP paint on an Audi. It's got GTP ZX Turbo labeled on the back of that machine.
I love it.
It's amazing.
That's clever. That's great stuff there from Andreas Schuster. So he's a little bit deep, though, coming into fan use, so he's going to lose a little time up to the green machine of Ian Haycox for now. This is one of our closest fights in this class, but seems like he's kind of just slipping back bit by bit.
So he's doing that. So is Yuri Geisen as well in the 21. So a couple of the Audis. I mean, I'm sure they've been doing that all season, but I just finally took the time to read what's on on these cars.
It completely flashed by me, and I never paid attention. Whoa, we got a problem.
Fonseca.
Yeah. He's been having a rough season.
Yeah, this has just not been his season at all, Joe.
Well, and that is German Suarez with another off just in front of him. The 28 backing it into the wall. Not sure how much damage that did to the wing, but he does get it back onto the racing surface and is on his way once more.
Yeah, Germain just had a little bit of a rough race, just trying to get to grips with this machine. It's a tough car to drive, especially on the brakes. It really does not like to turn under braking at all. It'll snap on you very quickly, and Jermaine discovering that over the course of this race, unfortunately.
So here's the amazing thing, Adam, is we've only had 3 official retirements. We've got 2 more sitting taking repairs. So we still have 26 of the 31 starters racing out there despite some massive accidents.
Yeah, extremely massive accidents, and looks like Lapisto losing more positions to Amber Donbaugh, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just, this has been a very dramatic opening, you know. Frankly, the opening 10 minutes of this race were so dramatic that I think at this point everyone's just going to be content to ride for a little bit and try and figure out where they are. Well, I say that, but Seamus Power and Jack Wells, not so much.
Yep, this battle here we see for the 9th place, still sorting itself out in this final half of the race. I want to see if we can then get a Nissan driver to race in Audi paint now, since we might as well. And here we go, Seamus Power with a big run. Looks like he's got good straight line speed in comparison. Jack Wells holding to the racing line, doesn't defend. Power makes it look easy.
Yeah, good move from Power. One thing I will note, though, Seamus has been whipping that car around quite a bit. That's going to put a lot of heat into the tires. And granted, it's 7 degrees on track, so it's actually a fairly cool track for these drivers right now. But you do run out of grip at the end of these 40-minute races because you do this all without taking a pit stop. So I would say that if Seamus wants to hang on to the grip and make some more passes to get further up into the top 10, possibly to the top 5, he's going to want to hang on to that rear grip a little bit more.
So we watch out of the 007 cam. In the meantime, oh, Nick Bell just had a problem. I think it was a self-spin. Yeah, just spun it coming down into Ravage, driving that one a little bit too hard. I wonder if we could get a comparison, though, between Reed and Hovdal, because I'm looking at the difference, and there it is. Yeah, Hovdal, since he's taken second position, has been chipping away bit by bit, and there is, I'm pretty sure, enough time that he could actually catch up to Reed.
Oh, absolutely. It's 3/10 a lap. Wow, 7/10 this last time. I think that was probably due to traffic from Gregorio Buscemi, and Hovdal navigated that excellently. So as they cross the line, we'll get one more tick of comparison here. 2-minute flat for Reed, and whoa, my goodness, a second, 1.2 seconds, and the fastest lap from Hovdal. All right, this man's on a charge.
A fire has been lit under the number 3. He started this on pole. He wants that position back, and he's going to try and run down Reed to do it, but then he's going to have to pass him as well. Between them, he does have Repetto, and that's going to take him off the racing line just a bit, but man, he slices through there. He's on a mission. Does Reed know that he is losing that time this quickly?
A 1:59.2 for Hovdal. In defense of Fabian Jungbluth, a 1:59.8 for him, so also fast. The rest of the GTPs up in the 2-minute range. Man, Hovdal's really putting on a charge, but it's going to be a little hard to make it past Timothy Reed here. Able to sneak by, just saying, you know what, I'm fast, I'm going by, see ya.
He's definitely looking aggressive with the traffic, and he's being balked, Timothy Reed, ironically, by the Nissan liveried car of Andreas Schuster. It's down to half a second already.
Yeah, that's exactly what Hovdal needed. He's going to do the over-under with Schuster, sneak his way by. Timothy Reed should be able to make it by Ian Haycock clean, and Hovdal should be able to get by before the sharp left-hander. So they should be fine. Next up is Reed Miller and Yuri Geisen, who are battling for 4th position. Those two going to want to give up any time, and they're going to meet him in the braking zone for the bus stop chicane.
They hit that, and it looks like Reed Miller's going to be able to stay out of the way, but what about Yuri up in front of him? Should have a chance to just stay off to the side here on the GP pit straights. Yes, Timothy Reed uses this to great advantage this time, as it went from half a second up to 1.2 seconds between himself and his rival.
Absolutely. Hovdal doing everything he can to try and retain under a second to Timothy Reed, able to do so. Here we go. Timothy Reed's going to have to make it past Doug Cloud through. Oh, that was tight. And we got the exiting JJ Cabello's exiting from the pits. He's going to stay to the right. But look at this Hobdell with overspeed on Reed. It's under half a second now. Reed had time to take a slowdown. This is going to give Hobdell the lead.
After all of that excitement, it came down to a simple slowdown penalty, and Timothy Reed gives it up. Hobdell, with the pace he's been showing, surely he can run away now.
I mean, I would expect him to, and Hobdell's been fighting really hard. I'm sure he was looking for a fight. These guys, the GTP in the Camel Series, really enjoy on-track battles. That's why they race this series. It's not about the points. It's not about the speed. It's about having a good time with the guys around you. I think quite frankly, I bet Hobdell's a little disappointed that wasn't more of a fight, but he's probably glad to have the lead, and especially the points that come with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we've seen, clearly the traffic can be a big problem, so he wants as big of a buffer as he can. The lead will be graciously accepted. The battle for fourth between Olsen and Krejcik has been going on all this time. We just haven't been able to check in on it, and now we check in at a great time. Oh no, they make contact. It's a horrible time to check in if you're Laust Olsen, as he gets punted off the track and has to wait as a stream of cars goes by.
That's the second one of those today. This one was a little bit of a over-eager nose in from Krejcik, as Krejcik got tight there through the corner and ends up pushing out wide into Laust Olsen. Yeah, we should take a look at that on again.
Lapista goes by in the process, but Laust probably going to be quicker once he gets back up to speed here. So here we go. We're going to take a look at the incident between Olsen and Krejcik down in the Fanyes. Got his nose in nice and clean. And yeah, I think he thought, I don't want to be boxed in, tried to move over, but he wasn't clear.
I don't think it was a conscious move over to the left side. I think Krejcik, to be honest with you, was just thinking, I'm going to get boxed in, and subconsciously moved over to the left a little bit. And Laust Olsen, you know, due to his trajectory, just came across Krejcik's nose. I think, like, it's still on Krejcik, but at the same time, I'm sure Krejcik's kicking himself after that one.
Oh, and Geisen is upset. Oh no, it's been a big hit through Eau Rouge for Yuri Geisen, and it looks like it's the 18 involved. That's Jack Wells.
Oh, and this was side-to-side contact between the GTP and the GTO. Geisen had to turn in, and Jack Wells did not respect the fact that oh man, it's going to be spicy in the Discord tonight.
Oh, you know what? It wasn't Jack Wells that made the initial hit. Jack Wells got into the back of Reed Miller trying to avoid that. It was trying to make
Seamus Power.
Yeah.
So here's another. So that's the 18 of. Well, so here's the initial contact. Yeah, I mean, Geisen's got to turn in there. The 21, the Audi cannot take Eau Rouge any shallower than he has to take the racing line. And I don't think the GTP quite understood that the GTO cannot give any way there.
Seamus was in a fight with Mosquera, and actually still is. So again, it's just the red mist is down and you're focused on trying to stay with your rival. And for Seamus, it ended somebody else's race, sadly. Not going to make many friends on that one. I also wanted to give an update on the championship situation of the prototypes. Reed in second still should have plenty of points over Lepisto, who's currently running 12th. Let me double check to see what 12th offers up. Looks like 9 points versus 22. Yeah, that'll be plenty, and Reed will be ahead almost into double digits actually. Whoa, we got a problem.
Yeah, Devin Donaghy, and this was contact with Yuri again. Yuri was a little slow, gets up on the grass on the inside of the corner, and unfortunately Devin gets into the back of him.
Yuri's gonna park it. It looks like maybe just, or is he gonna try and, well, he's gonna drive through the grass.
It's crabbing quite a bit there.
Yeah, so he's just gonna take the hit to his safety rating by staying out of the way and running off course in the meantime. Reed Miller's in pit lane.
So there's the incident. There you saw just a little bit of a slowdown from the 21 at the center of the corner. And Devin Donaghy didn't read that coming and just got into the back of Yuri.
Uh-oh. Reed Miller has fallen afoul of the incident limit this race and is now at Spa and is now down to 7th place. This hurts a lot in that championship hunt with Lescala.
And with Javier Del Olmo, Reed Miller has been Mr. Consistency for the last couple of seasons, but unfortunately this race, with a couple of 4Xs from car contact plus the off tracks that you get around Spa, oh boy, this is gonna definitely have a negative impact on his championship.
And because of everybody else having so many problems, Lescala's out to a 13.5-second lead. We've seen larger from that one car, but whoa, 2 wheels into the grass. Who was that?
That was Aaron Humphries trying to make a pass on Farron Grau. And Humphries just timed it just a little bit wrong, unfortunately. Went to the outside as the left-hand turn was approaching. And Farron was taking the racing line, going from outside to inside, and Aaron Humphries had to take to the grass to avoid Grau. Should have another opportunity, though, up our long straight if they get through Radion.
Aaron up 8 positions from where he began. Poor Farron Grau down 2 spots and was leading this race for a decent chunk of it. 5 minutes left to go. Starting to wonder how many survivors we're actually going to see at the finish of this one. We still have plenty out there, but we've been getting some more major incidents and contacts out on track. Humphrey does look fast in a straight line. Is it fast enough, though? He's going to show himself in the mirrors and gives it a right go at it. Oh, as unfortunately for Farron Grau, he cannot hold it through the corner. Humphrey somehow manages to make that overtake for 5th.
Yeah, Grau's got a little bit of right side damage, and it's probably some suspension damage for that machine. I'm pretty sure the wheel wouldn't be straight for him at this point. But, I mean, after that incident that takes you out of the lead, I mean, I would be pretty demoralized myself.
Yeah, I would be as well. It's all kind of gone south for him in these last few minutes of the race. So are we going to get 2 or 3 to go here? I think 2 to go. Yeah, 2 to go because he's got to cross the finish line down the hill. There's no way he's getting there in 20 seconds.
Yeah, so Hovdahl with 4 minutes, 4:10 to go into the bus stop chicane. I mean, from an early incident to back down to about 6th or 7th, 8th position, now climbs his way back up to the lead of this race and putting a second on Timothy Reed per lap, it looks like. So Hovdahl really, I mean, that qualifying pace was not a fluke.
No, he passed him multiple laps ago. Timothy Reed's actually been keeping with him at 2.3. I think the pace has been pretty comparable. Hovdahl, though, with the fastest lap of the race at a 58.8 now, which is much faster than Timothy Reed's quickest. And we jump back once again, side-by-side racing coming down into La Source. Seamus Power just ahead of Amber Dawn Baugh. This is for 8th position. Amber can't get the grip off the corner with that shallow line.
Yeah, that's not going to make a difference. Seamus Power has a little bit of right side wing damage, so Amber's got a pretty decent overspeed of about 20 miles an hour over Seamus on the straight. So we should see Amber streak by on the outside here.
Has the nose ahead. Yep, that looks much easier for the 25. 4 spots up for her. Nice little race here today. All she has to do is bring it home from there. That's a little easier said than done from the way that this race has been going. Oh, not much happening in GTOs. Go ahead.
Lepisto continues to fall back. Has not taken that pit stop that we talked about. Down to 14th now with Fabian Jungbluth, who's been putting in some pretty quick laps, actually. 2:07 for Jungbluth, who will also be passing into Lepisto. So that'll put Lepisto down to 15th. German Suarez is about 30 seconds back, so he won't get there over the course of these last 2 laps. But yeah, Lepisto's day just from bad to worse ever since battling with Farron Grau for the lead.
If he gets past for 15th there, that'll be worth 6 points for him, and every position down that you see him is worth 1 less point. So yeah, it is slipping away big time. Meanwhile, this is Yuko Lescala taking another cruise to victory to set his 5th win of the season if he brings it home from here. And we're only on race number 8. He could rack up another championship that also includes winning half or more of the races. I'll have to look and see how many of his championships he won more than half in a season.
I would expect most, to be honest with you, Joe. I mean, even the time when it was Dirty Torque versus Glacier Racing, even during those seasons where we had such strong fights for top 4, top 6, all battling for the lead in the GTOs, Yuko was still a winner of around or over half of the races during those seasons even. So it just goes to show you that Yuko has been around the Camel GT series for a very long time and has been putting in hard work. And even over the last couple of seasons where the challenge, well, I guess this season where the challenge hasn't been as strong as when it was with Phil Lake last season, he's just been absolutely just a powerhouse.
And to be fair, it had remained close in the points, even if nobody really seemed to be able to catch him on pace. They were doing so on consistency. As we watch Hovdal, who I think wisely backs off a little bit here. He's got some time to give up. He can't dilly-dally forever, though, because in the background you can see Reed starting to gain. And it's down to under a second, but as long as he brings it to the finish line, I think Hovdal should have this one in the bag. And yeah, Reed even now has to get checked up behind those 2 cars, trying to stay patient. So it all ebbs and flows with the traffic here in the Camel Series, which we've certainly come to expect. Just out of the bus stop chicane, one more corner. The finish isn't there at the usual finish line. Repetto stays off the left-hand side. Hovdal into La Source. From first to first, but man, was it an adventure between for the number 3 as he takes victory in round 8 for the Camel GT Series.
Timothy Vaughn will come home in second, and then about 11 seconds back will be Aitor Sentes Galindo, who honestly had a pretty good recovery drive himself over the course of this race. Aitor just about to come across the line now.
And Yuko Leskala is coming to Stavilo. No, he's coming to Fanyes currently in the number 1. 17-second lead over Javier Del Olmo. So he has just stretched it farther and farther apart from anybody comparable. A few drivers did manage to cross the line before our GTP leaders were there, so he has a couple people he could lose it to should something dire happen. Meanwhile, look at this battle here down to the line. Fonseca versus Wells. Both have been involved in accidents today, but Wells, oh, I thought he had a better exit. It's a drag race down to it. Oh, into the wall. You're going to run out of space there, Carlos. Just wasn't paying attention, unfortunately, and that cost him what could have been a position. Back to the attention on Yuko Leskala. The number 1 is showing why he's got that highest I rating, just racks him up time after time, countless victories for the Finn, and this is another of many that he has tallied up. Yuko Leskala extends his points lead by a big margin here today at Spa.
Yeah, Javier Del Olmo 18 seconds back at this point, just now about to come through the final corner and going to come across the line in second. But what was supposed to be a hard-fought challenge for the lead here at Spa, draft race for the GTOs, did not materialize. Javier Del Olmo in second position, 18 points back.
And credit to Doug Cloud for a 3rd place here today, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world. I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike. My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Spa-Franchorchamps. Round 8 of the Camel Series sees Matthias Avdal take the win. If you didn't watch the race, though, and see that he started from pole, you really should probably go back, because it's interesting how he wound up getting there. And a never-say-die attitude helped him get a victory. Timothy Reed was second behind him, still doing well in his championship hopes because of a bad race for Lepisto, his rival. And Heitor Sintes Galindo rounded out the podium. Martin Krajcik was fourth, and Aaron Humphreys up 9 positions to take 5th place. Farron Grau just about ready to get a maiden victory today, and it wasn't meant to be. He finished 6th. Javier Mosquera was 7th, and Amber Dawn bought 8th. After that, Seamus Power finished 9th, and Laus Olsen rounds out your top 10. Nick Bell in the wars out there wound up 11th. Fabian Jungbluth, an excellent qualifying, was not followed up by an excellent performance. He went from 2nd to 12th. Carlos Fonseca was 13th, and Ante Lepisto, with his damage from an incident, just didn't have the straight line speed and fell all the way to 14th. German Suarez 15th, and Jack Wells 16th. Iamaki and Rangel were DNFs.
And then we get to the GTOs, with Jukka Leskala taking the win after escaping an opening lap wreck over the top of Radion. Javier Del Olmo able to recover from a little bit of issues himself to come home in 2nd position, with Doug Cloud clinging to 3rd spot to take that podium. Fantastic race from Doug. Ian Haycox was able to climb from from 8th position all the way up to the 4th spot, with Andreas Schuster able to cling on to 5th position. Daniel Repetto with a good 6th spot today, with Reed Miller, after collecting damage from that early incident, able to claw his way back up into 7th, even after taking a time through a penalty for incidents. David Donaghy takes 8th spot, with also having to take a penalty for incidents as well, with Gregorio Buscemi in the 9th spot, and Yuri Geisen in 10th after a late incident, with JJ Cabellas in 11th spot, a DNF as well. And then our drivers who were involved who are the most involved in the opening incident, Phil Blake and Timothy Vaughn, both DNFs today.
Looks like we've got 3rd in the prototypes ready to talk to us. The 11 of Heitor Sintes Galindo, who definitely had some battles in there of his own to try to get up to 3rd, but eventually seemed to have taken advantage of the attrition like many have. Heitor, you started a bit far down, but much to our surprise, I didn't expect attrition to be a big factor here today, and it seems that it caught out a lot of drivers and gave you another podium.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I didn't expect it much, honestly, especially in top split with only 30 cars today. But yeah, very good result. No mistakes. Well, one, and yeah, consistent lap times, and yeah, no more mistakes apart from that. And yeah, a good result. Very happy with this. And I have to check on the championship, because I think I'm getting closer to the top guys.
Yeah, this helps you gain a good deal, because Hugh Haycox was not here today, and Jungbluth had a bad day, and Ante Lepisto had a bad day. So yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even considered that's going to bump you up quite a bit. Now, talking about the championship, in the past, you've had your teammate to help out sometimes, Farron, but today he was leading for a brief while. Have you two talked about what happened to him at all in the end, or were you aware? And has he said anything about where his emotions are right now?
Well, yes, we were talking about he had an incident with Ante. We need to check it out on what happened there. But yeah, in the past we had as teammate. Well, we still are teammates, but yeah, today it was very funny, because it was like he was holding all the pack for me, and I was like in the moment there. But yeah, it's I need to check it out with Farron what happened there. We need to see, well, what happened there, basically. Yeah, I'll review myself. And that's it. Yeah, today it's a shame for Farron, because today had a brilliant car, brilliant setup. And today, if he hadn't that problem, probably would be with me at least on the podium, if not winning the whole thing. So yeah, shame for him, but hopefully next week we get same for I'm more happy Farron for me.
Well, commiserations on his part, but congratulations to you on a podium. Anybody you want to shout out?
As the usual guys, you guys for the broadcast, the Camel community, my family, friends are watching, and yeah, thanks everybody, and see you next week. I don't know, where is it?
next
Oh,
week.
no.
That is, let me check real quick. That is going to be Imola that you guys have
Imola.
next week.
Good. It's a good track. Okay, see you guys there.
Yeah, it is a fantastic track. That was Heitor Sintes Galindo third, but the winner here was Matthias Hovdal, and I do believe that Adam has caught up with him.
Yeah, Matthias, that was an exciting race for you for sure. Starting off on pole, ending up down in about 8th position, having to claw your way back. Talk to me about fighting back there. Sure seemed like traffic was very exciting for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult at Spa with all the mid and high speed corners. If you catch an Audi at the wrong place, it can be very, very costly in terms of time. And, if there's any kind of contact, it's usually just race ending because it's a big one usually. So, but yeah, traffic definitely went in my favor when I was catching Timothy there at the end. I think there was, over the span of maybe a couple of laps, he lost like 5 or 6 seconds, and then he got a slow down coming down the long straight as well. That allowed me to get past pretty easily. So I think that was kind of a big factor for my win today. I had a bit too much downforce, I think, to be competitive, like just racing against the others. So it was going to be difficult to overtake him, I think, if he hadn't gotten that slow down like he did. So yeah.
Still, though, coming away with the fastest lap here, I mean, you definitely had pace on the rest of the field over the course of qualifying and the race. What do you think the secret is for getting that quick pace around here in a downforce machine like the GTP?
Well, my setup really emphasized the mid and high speed corners. The problem is that's where the dirty air is the worst as well. So it's kind of a trade-off between having the outright pace like I'd done this race basically, and having that raceability that allows you to actually make overtakes and defend when you're in battles with someone else.
And next week we head over to Imola, which is a very different track, especially for the GTPs. Talk to me about your thoughts heading into that round.
Yeah, it's a challenging track in the Nissan for sure. The curves are brutal. So big contrast from this track, obviously. But it's an enjoyable one. I think it's a fun challenge. So if I can find the time, maybe I'll do that one as well.
Well, congrats, Matthias, on the win today. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Thanks to Farron and Timothy and the other guys up there for putting out some good battles. It was a fun race today.
Well, that was Matthias Hovdal, our winner in the GTPs, and Joe Peak has caught up with Laust Olsen, who finishes down in 10th position, a top 10 for Laust, but that was definitely not the story of his race.
Yeah, he was a little higher up than that, and in fact got turned a little bit through the fan use corner. Have you had a chance to go back and look at the incident, Laust, and do you have an opinion on it?
Just what happens in traffic. I made a similar mistake at Sonoma where I took out the guy in front, not checking up early enough. So that happens. But it was fun up until then, at least.
Now, in the real world, the Nürburgring and Spa are just about an hour apart, so they're not very far away from one another, so it's not too weird to race both in a day. But today has to have been exhausting because these look like they were tough tracks for you.
Yeah, it was. Actually, the Nürburgring went a lot better than previously. I picked up some pace this season, but Spa has never really been my circuit, and I tend to be a little slow here compared to those I normally fight with. So I knew all week that it was going to be a tough race. So also speed-wise.
Well, I guess if you're looking for something different, then Imola has very different characteristics than Spa. Do you have higher hopes off to Italy?
Hopes, yes, but Imola is another track I tend to struggle on, so we'll have to see. But hopefully, I go a little better than last time, I think. So I look forward to it, but it's going to be a tough track too.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we'll cross fingers and toes for you and hope that things go a little better. But thanks for talking to us, Laust.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Laust Olsen finishing 10th today, unfortunately, not probably having as good of a result as he maybe would have liked. But we're going to close it out with a big thank you to the Camel Series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race is going to be at Imola, as we mentioned, Saturday, November 12th. And remember, we have the time change. That'll be at noon Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.